Doge, we really need to talk about the Bill Clinton Game Awards. Or perhaps I'll start referring to them as the Rigorous Awards. You think they're about celebrating the art of gaming? Wrong! It's a rigged game. So rigged that if oil rigs had a union, they'd be picketing for pointers. The whole building is rigged with explosive diarrhea. Every year, you tune in looking at these bigwigs coming in dressed to the tens.
In truth, I don't play a whole lot of video games.
Sporting those trophies like it's some shiny regalia, hoping for justice, for recognition where it's due. But what you get is the same old tap dance on the scales of merit alongside an episode of Rig and Morty. They claim to be rigorous in their selection, but there's nothing rigorous about it unless you count the rigor mortis setting in the credibility of this charade. It is absolutely ridiculous. But when gamers rise up, they're about to get riggedy wrecked. Hi homos, I'm Locust, lifelong gamer, destroyer of Doritos, and loose cannon on a swivel. Before we start breaking down this week's news, you better like this video, you better subscribe if you haven't already. Ring those bells for notifications. That will make your heart flutter whenever you see that I posted some new content. So let's just jump in. The Dorito Pope, otherwise known to many as Jeff Keighley, recently filed a patent in attempts to ensure that the term the Game Awards now belongs to him. As Colin Moriarty on X writes, Jeff Keighley is attempting to trademark Game Awards with the US patent, meaning no one else will be able to host an award show with the words Game Awards in it. Worse, he's emailing fans and requesting that they file with the USPTO on his behalf. The email reads, "Believe it or not, we are just 1 month away from the Game Awards and our 10th anniversary. As a fan who joined us for one of our Zoom sessions during the pandemic, we are reaching out to you with a quick request. We are currently in the midst of registering the Game Awards as a mark with the US Patent Trademark Office. We are looking for letters of support to ensure that consumers, that's you, distinctively associate the term the Game Awards with our annual awards show. If you do feel this way, could you please docu-sign this form with your name? It should take about 30 seconds. In addition, if you want to reply to this email with any personal reflections with details on how you came to know and live the Game Awards, we would be happy to include your individual thoughts in our application when it is filed in a few weeks. Thank you, and hope you enjoy our show on December 12th. Sincerely, the Game Awards." Look folks, the Game Awards are playing us like we're the dumbest character in a B-movie with a budget lower than Bukowski's liver's approval rating. They're sweet talking us with this, "Oh, you remember the Zoom call? It was me."
Gamers.
Like you're supposed to feel special. Now they want us to sign some digital document, a DocuSign no less, in about 30 seconds, because hey, who has the time to read and think about all this shit? They're trying to trademark the Game Awards, for Christ's sake. Like they're the only ones who can give us a fucking game show. It's like me trying to trademark Devil May Cry and Doritos. They're playing hardball with this US Patent Trademark Office, using you as the gamer as pawns in their game of corporate chess. And as if that wasn't enough, they're asking for personal stories as a method to pad their application to make it sound as though that the Game Awards is the second coming of the Olympics or something. So here's the deal. They're not just looking for support, they're looking to corner the market on what should be a communal celebration. It's like they're trying to say, you can't celebrate games unless it's got our stamp of approval. But hey, if you're into that, if you believe that the Game Awards is your personal beacon of the gaming industry, by all means, sign your soul away. Just remember, you're not just signing a form, you're signing a piece of the community soul to the corporate machine. And given now that the concealed panel includes companies that hardly have anything to do with video games, nor barely reporting on them, such as NPR and Pride. Sophia Norwitz writes, Pride.com being one of them is odd because if you go to the actual website, there's actually very little gaming content. They don't even have an easily accessible gaming tab, even though that there's one for film, TV, and music. Keyword searching doesn't bring up much gaming coverage either. Speaking of Pride, I think you might know what comes right before the fall. Now, keep in mind, the Game Awards, for better or worse, I'm leaning on the latter, are a big deal. This is an event where big games are announced, sales are boosted, and where a gas-bloated Neil Druckmann has the yearly honor of the industry tossing his salad. Long story short, it's where the mainstream narratives are essentially forged and promulgated. Speaking of which, I have a feeling Neil Druckmann's new game, which he's been working on since 2020, might be revealed at the Game Awards. From what we know, Sony hasn't given him the green light to announce the game officially, has given him the full creative control over the PlayStation 5 game. Now let's talk about the big Elden beast in the room. Elden Ring, Shadow of Erdtree, a DLC that has been nominated for Game of the Year. First off, Shadow of Erdtree isn't even a game, not in the full-blown sense. It's an expansion, a DLC. It's like nominating a goddamn epilogue for a Pulitzer. What's next? A best screenplay nod for deleted scenes? The nomination stinks of inconsistency. They've been pulling a bait and switch with these rules. One year it's all about standalone masterpieces, and the next, it's some add-on content. It's like saying, oh, we changed our minds, let's give everybody a participation trophy this time. Let's not kid ourselves. There is some elitist horse manure going on here. From Software gets a pass because, what, they made Elden Ring? It's like the Oscars but with less transparency and more dragons. This nomination could be the biggest f you to genuine competition. Are we splitting votes now? Is this some high school popularity contest where the cool kids get to decide the prom queen? If we're nominating expansions, what's next? A remaster from 1999? This isn't just about Shadow of Erdtree. It's about what we call a game anymore. We're losing the essence, folks. The essence of what makes gaming great. And if we're talking about great DLCs, how come the Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 didn't at least get a nod last year? Here's the kicker. If DLCs can win the Game of the Year, what's stopping every game company from slicing their content and selling it as piecemeal? It is not just unethical, it is creatively bankrupt. But perhaps I'm biased. Let's look at a different perspective. Thomas Mahler, the CEO of Moon Studios, who has been critical of the implementation of DEI in the gaming industry, has taken X to express his opinion on the matter. He writes, "It seems as though a few people are upset that the Elden Ring DLC has been nominated for Game of the Year at this year's Game Awards. Let's be clear, I am 100% on board with this decision and told Jeff Keighley the same a few months ago. The industry is changing and we're moving from box products and sequelitis more towards games that are kept alive, if it makes sense to do so. I think in the future we'll see more games that are treated as mere platforms that are then receiving updates continuously, and we should celebrate those achievements just as much as we're celebrating entirely new products." Interesting take, to say the least. But if games are going to be moving towards quote-unquote platforms, as he calls it, perhaps they could just be a separate category for, I don't know, maybe best DLC? I think it's really unfair that a game like Helldivers 2, which is easily my Game of the Year, gets snubbed because Jeff Keighley, like many of you, I'm sure, loves a taste of From Software's uncircumcised penor. Honestly, I don't even know why I bother having any hope for a gaming award show that treats a fighting game genre like a redheaded stepchild with rot. Oh man, Racer X, I don't think I'm ever getting invited to the Game Awards, am I? But that's not to say that the Game Awards got everything wrong. Black Myth Wukong, which personally I didn't care too much for, got nominated for Game of the Year. From an objective standpoint, rightfully so. It may have been the best-selling game worldwide of 2024, with 20 million copies sold by the end of its first month of release. It was the game of the people. However, the game's legacy media isn't exactly seeing eye to eye. The new narrative just dropped. Articles with headlines such as, "The Game Award nominates the lowest ever rated title for Game of the Year, Black Myth Wukong," says Indie 100. GameRant says, "Black Myth Wukong's Game of the Year nomination sticks out like a sore thumb." Comicbook.com says, "Black Myth Wukong doesn't deserve Game of the Year nomination, and here's why." And a bunch of other headlines that are almost word for word the same.
"We are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country."
Well, it seems some journalists felt the spotlight on Wukong should have been reserved for a title that they believe got unfairly overlooked. Take Dragon Age: The Veilguard, for instance. Polygon put it right out there in their headline. "There was one big snub in the Game Awards nomination." Their subhead hammered it home, noting that Dragon Age: The Veilguard, a game engineered to succeed at the Game Awards, did not. Speaking of snubs in Dragon Age, did you guys know that if you let the queer Nari, they-them-cess, Tosh, who identifies with they-them pronouns, meet their demise in Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Isabella slips and refers to Tosh as she. And this time, there's no crowd for Isabella to perform her apologies to.
"You made Tosh so happy, Rook. They could be themselves with you, and I could just feel it. I saw the small, knowing smile when she looked at you, like there was a secret only the two of you shared.
No one to witness her pulling a barf. It's when she does the push-ups for misgendering people. Back to the Game Awards. Doug, how come Metal Gear Solid Delta and Doom Dark Ages got snubbed from the quote-unquote most anticipated Game of the Year award? Mueru gomidayo.
The fuck did you say?
That means combustible garbage in Japanese. Onegaishimasu. Hey Jeff, gamers have a suggestion for more than one category to add to your awards.
This guy stinks!
Well, not all award shows that celebrate games are changing the rules on the fly or are subject to the whims of a panel of unqualified gatekeepers. The Golden Joysticks Awards seems to be more in line with my personal taste, at least. Team Asobi, the team behind Astrobot, took home the award for Studio of the Year, which to my estimation is well deserved. I had a quick video on why Astrobot is probably the best designed game in a while. It's linked in the cards. Astrobot took home the award for Best Audio Design, where Helldivers 2 took home Best Multiplayer Game, Best Trailer, Critics' Choice Award, and Console Game of the Year. Well deserved. Both games which I love so much that I got the plat for. Speaking of which, how come you guys aren't following me on Twitch yet to join me on that 12 months, 12 Platinum Trophies challenge? We're working on Control right now. You guys have some of the best comments on any YouTube channel I've seen, and I want to hang out with you guys in real time. Link is in the description. And now, speaking of Control, Remedy just released a press statement. Alan Wake 2 has sold over 1.8 million units. Control Ultimate Edition will release on Mac February 12th, 2025. Control 2 will be an action RPG. Control will receive a free update in early 2025, unlocking some previously released content. Remedy has also revealed how many copies Control 2 and Firebreak need in order to break even. Control 2, that high-budget action RPG siren, needs to seduce between 3 to 4 million buyers to break with its 50 million euro budget. Meanwhile, FBC Firebreak, their co-op shooter side piece, will need to charm 3 million folks with its 30 million euro price tag. Alan Wake, the game where you kill monsters with a flashlight, like the first time my mom caught me eating. Are you guys looking forward to Control 2? I feel like Control gets a lot of stuff right, but I have a bone or two to pick with the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it, but I legitimately don't see the hype. What makes me kind of weary of the sequel is that I'm not really an action RPG guy, but perhaps they're taking this new route in order to differentiate itself and give it its own identity from the Max Payne remakes that are currently in development, which I'm very much looking forward to. Now, keep in mind, these numbers are just what it takes to break even, but with the backing of Tencent and Annapurna Pictures, they might just have the marketing push to not be in the hole this time. So, Kadokawa, the big shot Japanese media conglomerate that's got its hands in everything from Elden Ring to anime production, has come out and said, yeah, Sony's been sniffing around our booty hole wanting to buy us. But here's the kicker. They're playing it cool, saying, no decision's been made yet. Keep in mind, this isn't just about video games. If Sony pulls this off, they'll be the anime and manga kingpins, owning a whole damn pipeline from pen to screen, potentially giving them the clout in entertainment that could make even the decrepit gods of Hollywood jealous. Now here's a twist in the tale. There are whispers, rumors really, that Kadokawa might have gone to Sony, hat in hand, asking for a buyout to dodge a hostile takeover from South Korean company Kakao. This move, if true, shows not just a game of corporate chess, but a strategic retreat to stay Japanese-owned, avoiding the clutches of an overseas giant. All we can do is sit back with our popcorn, waiting to see who ends up with the golden ticket. However, it's worth noting that gamers and anime enthusiasts have voiced their apprehension regarding Sony's prospective acquisition of Kadokawa. This concern stems from instances like Yoko Taro's attempt to include a hot and steamy sex scene between 2B and 9S in the Nier Automata anime adaptation. Aniplex, which is owned by Sony, taking the role of moral arbiter, deemed the content unsuitable for all ages and chose to not approve of the scene, highlighted by @ResidenceBeEvil. This is exactly why Sony gets a bad rap and why people don't want them to buy Kadokawa. They're very much for censorship and have gone to great lengths to achieve it at times, trying to censor Yoko Taro, thinking that they know his characters better than he does. Kevin12 Jump writes, Aniplex is owned by Sony, of course, and they're totally fine with Abby and Owen having at it, double standards at its finest. @Brendan Orselli writes, This is really bad. If Sony buys Kadokawa, they will own most of our anime and manga industry and a big chunk of From Software too. Sony actively pushes Western censorship onto Japanese creators in a big way. But also, can we take a brief moment to admire the Kadokawa logo and all its regal splendor? Designers take note of its elegance. I cannot get enough.
You're supposed to be talking about the...
Do you guys have a problem when it comes to seeing yourself a little too much in video game characters, self-pleasure, and maybe are transabled? Well, if you can fulfill and kill a lot of those needs with a new Sekiro Shinobi Prosthetic Replica, according to IGN, capturing every battle-worn detail with stunning realism. Would this be a collectible you guys would be interested in buying? Leave it down in the comments while I finish gooning in peace. Wow. Now that I got that out of my system, I'm happy to introduce our new segment called Why Won't You DEI Already? So here's the deal. Reflector Entertainment, the studio behind the ambitious but apparently not so hot game Unknown 9, has had to let go of 18% of its crew. It's like the game didn't quite take off as much as the studio expected, leaving the studio needing to cut back to keep its lights on. They're saying it's not because the game has tanked, but because they're shifting gears, focusing on what's next. But let's be real, it's a classic saga of it's not you, it's us. Except us means our game didn't sell, and now we're trying to figure out what to do next. Who was the lead story architect for Unknown 9? It is none other than our favorite storyteller, Koom Bel-Air. And with her weight on the ship, Reflector Entertainment is basically going down faster than a Thai hooker after seeing a $2 bill. Now, here comes a twist. A whistleblower steps out of the shadows, not spilling the beans, but pouring them out like it's some drunk at a wine tasting. This dude claims that Koom Bel-Air, the big cheese at Sweet Baby Inc., who was supposed to be crafting this ever so wonderful games narrative, is off her rocker. We are talking about someone who might be collecting more skulls than a voodoo priestess, and not just because she likes the aesthetic. According to the whistleblower, the game was lauded as a AA title, when in reality it was more like a AAA title, with a staff of over 120 employees, most of them being ex-Ubisoft employees. And at this point, I'm starting to think that Koom Bel-Air is attached to Ubisoft by some umbilical cord forged from feces and failure. He described the atmosphere where people are just dallying around, drunk on the job, and watching YouTube videos. Hopefully these ones. And just yapping the day away. He said Bel-Air was juggling more shrinks than a junkie has needles. Spun it like it was some sort of wellness retreat, a positive step for her mental health, but in reality, it's a sign she's more suited to star in her own personal drama than to lead a project. She doesn't seem well, he noted, which is code for she is as stable as a house of cards during a hurricane. Well, all that to say, it ain't looking too good for Reflector Entertainment. Perhaps they should take a step back and reflect on their hires. At Manga Lawyer writes, Unknown 9, Awakening, recently reaching only 9 players worldwide, is Sweet Baby Inc.'s latest game made with the corrupt DEI Japan Bandai Namco and its European branch now facing layoffs. Meanwhile, Korea thrives and dominates the market. The face of loss versus the face of victory.
Snap out of it.
Ubisoft continues to descend down the spiral that comprises its logo. Star Wars Outlaws debuted on Steam, and well, I'll just let the numbers do the talking. I guess the Golden Joysticks Award threw Ubisoft a bone out of pity and gave Assassin's Creed Shadows the award for Most Wanted Game? Okay, I'm being petty here, but maybe sometimes the memes just write themselves. Are you completely out of your gourd and thought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth lacked content? Well, hopefully this news grounds you instead of leaving the mortal plane for the astral realm forever. Square Enix dropped the bomb that there won't be any big-ass story-driven DLC for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like they did with Intergrade. They're all in on expediting the third part of their remake trilogy because apparently what fans really want isn't more side adventures but a quick trip to the finish line. It's like they're saying they're in a race against time or something, leaving those Yuffie and Vincent fans hanging out to dry, hoping that the next game will finally scratch the itch for closure. Naoki Hamaguchi also apologized for how ridiculously difficult the Platinum Trophy in Final Fantasy Rebirth is, and said he won't make the Platinum Trophies that difficult again. He says, I think the other thing actually I can say was a mistake on my part, something that I've already apologized for, and I definitely will not do again, which is how difficult difficult I made it to get the platinum trophy. So rest assured, I have learned from that, and in the future, I will not be making platinum trophies that difficult. Well, I gotta say, I tried getting that plat for the game and got really far. However, that stupid Chad lead missions are impossible, and I want to smash his stupid face in and watch his skull get split in half and slide down Cloud's Buster Sword in slow motion as the blood drips ad infinite. But don't worry, I'm determined to get it. So perhaps I'll revisit the game next year when I'm not on a time constraint. So Sony's got this new update for the PlayStation Portable, and it's like they're saying they're about to make this thing more than just a remote play gadget. They're pushing cloud streaming into the mix, letting PlayStation Premium members stream games like my piss after I drink a whole 40 ounce, and Ghost of Tsushima directly from their cloud. Basically saying, hey, you don't even need a PS5 anymore, just this Portal thingy, and you can play all the hits. But let's not forget, it's still in beta. So expect some bugs, some stutters, and maybe even an existential crisis or two while you're trying to figure out why your game is lagging and there's supposedly no console involved. Oh, the universe of Helldivers 2 just got a cosmic injection of intrigue, folks. The latest Steam update has dropped, and with that, a whole mess of files hinting at the arrival of the Illuminate, those psychic, enigmatic bastards from the original game. It's like Arrowhead Studios is playing a game of celestial hide and seek with us, teasing us with some potential new missions where we might have to crash some alien rituals or something equally as bizarre. The Democracy Space Station might just be the stage for this interstellar showdown, and here we are, waiting with bated breath for those new foes to show up, because let's face it, fighting bugs and robots is getting as fresh as last week's leftovers. So guys, which news has you scratching your head? Which news do you want to take to bed? And which news makes you want to pump your foes with lead? I'm Locust. It's been real. I hope you guys touch yourself at least once in this video. I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.